Welcome to the MarketMap Terminal training video. This training shows you the basic and most commonly used features within MarketMap. It helps you to navigate through MarketMap, assists you in creating your own lists and screens, and how to use the various MarketMap functionalities. MarketMap is a Windows-based program and is therefore very intuitive to use and to navigate around. Let's first start with some key functions and some basic navigations within MarketMap. In MarketMap you may right-click into every window or onto every symbol, so you will get a menu in which you may choose from various display options. For example, a full quote or a chart on that particular instrument. It further enables you to also get into display-specific settings or properties from here. MarketMap also supports drag and drop between its windows. You may combine any windows and displays that are already on the screen and display data for an instrument by simply dragging and dropping the instrument into one of these open windows. This basically works for all the windows that are already open on the same screen. In MarketMap you may also select and create multiple screen layouts, so-called workspaces. This is done by clicking on the workspace tabs that you find on top of your screen. To open a new workspace, right-click on the workspace tab, go to Open, then select from either local disk or user group, and open one of the predefined screens that you may find in here. To save workspaces, you may again right-click on the workspace tab, choose Save As, then decide whether you want to save them to local disk or to your online directory. Workspaces that are saved online can also be retrieved on any other computer where MarketMap is installed. On the left side you have the main MarketMap toolbar, which gives you access to the main functions, main applications within MarketMap. If you, for example, want to open some predefined lists, you may click on this orange List Browser button, which opens the list browser. The list browser itself contains more than 1,000 predefined lists that you can choose from. There are different categories of instruments such as indices, stocks, fixed income, forex or futures lists you find in here. To open the categories, click on the plus sign, which then opens you a possible subdirectory. Click on the subdirectory and you get the lists presented in here. To open the lists, double click on the lists and place them on your window. Within the list browser it's also possible to search by keywords. If you, for example, look for oil futures, you may put in the keyword oil, which then automatically shows all the lists that contain oil in these lists. Select the list you want, double click on the list and it opens. Another useful tool is the Vista window, which can be opened by simply double-clicking on an instrument. The Vista window contains more information and most of these right menu options that you would find on an instrument. The basic overview offers you the current quote data, a chart of the instrument, and news related to that particular instrument. On top we have several tabs which give you some more detailed views, such as company profiles for stocks, full quote giving you some more detailed information, time and sales in which you may see all the paid prices on that instrument. For stocks there is also a corporate actions display where you would see the latest corporate action events such as dividends, annual meetings, split information and so on. There is further also options and warrants linking in here, in which you may get traded options or warrants traded at an exchange. Other listings shows you all the other exchange quotations of an instrument. For stocks, this is normally sorted by volume, so you would have the main exchanges always on top of the list. So to summarize some of MarketMap's key functions, right-click onto an instrument or inside a MarketMap window gives you access to various detailed data views. Double-click on either the instrument's name or symbol opens the Vista overview, including all detailed data options. Double-clicking on the price of the instrument opens a chart window, and if you want to change instruments in one of those open windows, simply drag and drop any other instrument into that open window. Predefined lists in MarketMap can be easily opened by clicking on the orange List Browser button and in here selecting the lists you want to open. For new quote lists that you're going to create, click on the red L button in the main toolbar and start filling the lists with the instruments you need. Workspaces can be opened and saved by right-clicking on the respective workspace tab and choosing the appropriate option in here. Searching for instruments and symbols in MarketMap. If you are looking for a MarketMap symbol, you may do this by using the Symbol Guide search facility. The Symbol Guide can be opened by clicking on the Looking Glass button in the main toolbar. In here you may search with anything you have, be it a company name, an ISIN code, ticker symbol or a local code. As an example, let's do a search on Apple stocks. In the search for field put in the word Apple, then hit the search button. This will now give you a list of search results that all contain the word Apple in the name field. On top of the list we see the Apple computer stock traded at Nasdaq. We may now select that one and move it over to our quote list by dragging and dropping the symbol. If we have multiple search results that we want to have in our quote list, you may select them by holding down the control button and selecting multiple of these symbols, moving them over to the quote list then. If you are doing searches on bonds, you may either enter an ISIN code or you may further also define the type bonds, which then gives you some additional search criteria to fill in. If you, for example, look for bonds on the government of Greece, you will put in Greece in the search for field. You may further define a coupon from, let's say, 4 to 9%, define maturity dates, and hit the search button again. This will now give you some search results on these search criteria that we have defined. Again, the search results can be taken over to your quote list. Simply drag them over to the quote lists. Creating your own lists and workspaces in MarketMap. To open and create a new quote list for your portfolios and watch lists, click on the red L button in the main toolbar. This opens a new blank quote list that you can now start filling with those instruments you need regularly. Simply type in the instrument symbols and confirm with enter. If you want, you may also select instruments from the symbol guide that you search there, simply drag them over from the symbol guide, or you may also drag and drop instruments from other lists, like predefined lists, and move these instruments over to your own list. Then place the quote list where you want to have it on your screen. and save the workspace including that quote list by right-clicking on the Workspace tab, select Save As, then define whether you want to save it local or online, and give it a name. If you now want to add some other components like chart windows, you may open these by right-clicking on an instrument, selecting Chart, moving the chart window or placing the chart window where you want it. You may also select displays like Time and Sales and place them on the window as you wish. Now to save again the content of the screen, you may simply click on this black disk icon to save the changes. If you want to further modify the content of the list, for example to add some more instruments, simply add other instruments to the list, and once done, save the workspace. This will automatically also save the changes you made to the list. If you want to add some more data columns to the list, you may right-click on a column header, select Add Column, and you get into a directory where you can choose from various different data columns. If you, for example, want to add the dividend column, you may choose Dividend from here, select OK, and you get the dividend column inserted in your quote list. It is now also possible to change the position of that column by simply dragging the column over to another position and keep it there. If you want to save it like this, click again on the Save disk, so it's immediately saved. With any changes you make within MarketMap, you will see that MarketMap automatically indicates the change of content or layout on a workspace by adding an asterisk to the currently open Workspace tab. It is recommended that when you want to keep the changes you've done, that you immediately save them by clicking on the disk icon. If not saved now, you would be asked, if you close MarketMap, if you want to save the changes. So always be careful and read these messages carefully before exiting MarketMap. Working with charts in MarketMap. The easiest way to get a chart is to double-click on the price of an instrument. That way you get a standard daily chart for any instrument. To change the time scale of the chart, left-click on the word daily and choose from any of the other time scales that are available. For example, a 5-minute chart, an hourly chart, or back to a daily chart. If you want to change to a fixed time period or time range, you may left-click on the No Time Period expression and choose from one of those predefined time periods, for example a year-to-date chart, which just brings you data from the 1st of January until today. Or you change to a 5-year chart if you want to have a longer term overview. It is also possible to change the chart style and settings. If you right-click into the chart, select Properties, you may choose from a different type of chart, for example candlestick or a line chart. You may also put in your individual start and end dates. The time format or date format is already given in here. You may also add studies to the chart by right-clicking inside the chart window, selecting Studies. This will lead you to the Study tab in the Properties. On the left side we have a list of possible studies and indicators. If we now, for example, want to put in a MACD into our chart, I may select the MACD, add it to the selected studies. If you want to change some parameters, you may change parameters in here and confirm it OK, so the study will be added to the bottom of your chart. Or if it's an overlay study such as moving averages, you may also add them to the chart. That's the moving average, the MVA simple. Let's put in a 200-day moving average and a 90-day moving average. So we have these moving averages and the MACD in the same chart now. If you now want to change something, simply right click in the chart, go to properties. In here you have the various display options that you may change. To save the chart on your screen, simply place it somewhere and save the screen including this chart by clicking on the Save button. If you want to save this chart layout as a template that you may also choose for other charts, then this is also possible by saving it via File, Save as Chart Template, or if you want to make it a standard so that every chart that you open in the future comes with the same settings, you may save it as a chart default template, so it automatically comes with any chart on any instrument that you would open with the same settings then. If you want to create overlay charts, this is also possible and quite easy to do. You would open the chart of the first instrument and adding a second instrument to the chart by selecting an instrument, moving it over to the chart window, and before you release the mouse button you press Ctrl on the keyboard. This automatically inserts the second instrument. This chart is now displayed as a relative performance chart, giving you a percentage scale on the right side and the two chart lines across each other. To define a starting point for a comparison in the past, you may select the dashed vertical line, place it at some point in the past and get a comparison since the 1st of January 2010 until now in percent. Whereas we have the crossing point here that starts the comparison at 100% and indicates the performance since then in percent. Working with news in MarketMap. If you want to look at company news, the easiest way would be to open a Vista window by double-clicking on the instrument's name or symbol. In here you already get filtered news related to that company. Alternatively, you may also double-click on the news flag within a quote list. This news flag is appearing if there is news coming in over the last 12 hours. Double-click on the news flag, opens a news window, also directly filtered to this company symbol. To open the news stories, double-click on a headline and you get the detailed news story to read. News that appear with an asterisk in front are normally only headlines that don't contain a story. Detailed information may be followed further by giving you a new news headline to click on. If you want to set up a new news window and assign it filters by yourself. You may do this by clicking on the new scrolling news button in the main toolbar. This opens you a news browser and gives you now the possibility to set up some news filters on your own. If you, for example, want to have filtered news for just stocks, click on Asset Class, Stocks. If you want to further filter them for example, just dividend announcements and earnings announcements, select these. And if you want to further combine this with a region, let's say you only want to do this for European stocks, click on Europe, so it only takes European markets into consideration, and finally confirm this with OK. This is now giving you news headlines for stocks on earnings and dividend announcements and just for European markets. Setting up limit alerts in MarketMap. MarketMap also offers you the possibility to set limit alerts so that you get alerted when a certain price level is reached. To set these limit alerts, right-click on the instrument's price and select Alert on Last. This opens the alert window in which you may now define your limits. In here you may enter a high and a low value based on the current price that the instrument has. If you want to, for example, set a limit on price of 51 to get a notification once the price reaches 51, you put in 51 the high price field. If you want to set a lower limit than the current price, you put it in the low field. Within the alert notification tab, you may select how you want to get alerted, whether you want to have an acoustic alarm. You may also put in a text that you would receive within the alert notification, like buy at 47, sell at 51. You may also select the email so that you at the same time get also notified by an email, and finally confirm the alert setting with OK. This now gives you a yellow alert icon next to the symbol, indicating that there is an alert set on this instrument. If alerts have been reached and broken, you will get a pop-up window that gives you all the details of the alerts, and at the same time the yellow icon will turn into a red icon to indicate that this limit has already been reached. The overall limit alert management is done by clicking on this yellow alert icon in the toolbar, which then gives you a list of all the limit alerts that you have set. In here you may select and define any limit alert and manage them individually by either editing the alert or also deleting the alert. Exporting MarketMap data into Excel. If you want to export MarketMap data to Excel to do further calculations or create portfolios there, you may export any data from MarketMap also with drag and drop. It's easiest to first place Excel and MarketMap side by side on the same screen, and then work with the drag and drop. Now it's possible to just export single prices, so you would select one single price field and simply drag it over to Excel. You may also export complete instruments by selecting the symbol and dragging over the symbol. This would automatically copy over the entire data line, including all the data fields that you also have in your quote list. Each of these cells is now linked to MarketMap, which you will see from the linking formula up here, and prices are moving once we receive a new price update within MarketMap. It's also possible, if you want to export your entire watch list to build up some portfolio calculations, for example. This is to be done by selecting the word symbol and moving it over to Excel. This copies over all instruments and all data fields that you have in your MarketMap quote list, and you can see the prices are constantly moving in here. Now, saving these data in Excel will allow you to also open these Excel sheets, and the next time you open an Excel sheet, you will be automatically getting these updated prices from MarketMap again. Alternatively, if you need, for example, historical data export like time series, where you want to do some specific calculations on, this is also possible to do. If you, for example, open a chart or a time and sales window, you may right-click into the chart window, select Export, then Chart for DDE, and in this dialog box you would define which data sets or data fields you want to export. Let's say we want to have date, open, high, low and close. You may further define how many data points you want to export. Let's say we want to export the last 150 days, or you may also define a certain date range in here. Then just click on OK. Within Excel, right click into a cell, go to Paste Special, paste link, then select text to have the right format, and click on OK. This will automatically copy over all these data into Excel, including a link where you get automatic updates within Excel. Normally the date format or time format needs to be slightly adjusted, which can be done by formatting the cells, and data is moving in like here. If you just need static MarketMap data, it's also possible to just export data from a chart. Simply click into the chart and move the chart over to Excel. This will just copy over the values without a linking formula, so that you get only static data in here, which is not updated regularly. Settings, colors and fonts in MarketMap. MarketMap allows its users to also change some of their individual settings, fonts and colors. Most settings can be viewed and changed by clicking on Setup, Preferences. In here you find settings for the various data displays in MarketMap that you may further define to your personal needs, for example for quote lists, charts or news windows. If you want to change the font size within a particular window, you may do this by clicking on the Services toolbar on top. To enlarge or reduce the font in a window, simply click on the plus or minus looking glass. When clicking on plus, you see that within the window the font gets bigger. Clicking on the minus reduces the font size. Colors can also be changed in MarketMap via Setup, Color. In here it's possible to select from several predefined color templates, but also to change some of the individual color settings on your own. For example, if you prefer to work with a dark background in MarketMap, you may select one of the already given color templates, such as Dark Mountain or Diva. The change is only active when you confirm with OK. Otherwise, if you press on cancel, it automatically reverts to your existing color template.